As the reality of the ultimate sacrifice hits so close to home.
At our house, he is the villain.
Sometimes you just gotta use the right thing.
Hey everybody, welcome to That Voiceover Podcast, the show for and about the voiceover profession. I'm Stephen Cox. So this week we continue with part 2 of our interview with voiceover coaches James Alburger and Penny Abshire. And in this part of the discussion, we talk a lot about marketing yourself, especially in the world of new media, both how to market yourself to casting people and also how to attract an agent. And James talks in depth about home studios, which is something that's of interest to a lot of you, I know. We talk about recording equipment, software in particular, microphones, and James tells us how to set up an entire home recording studio complete with soundproofing for less than $500. It's pretty good stuff. So, enjoy. Well, let's shift gears then and speak about marketing. And this is something that you touched on a little bit earlier, Penny, when you talked about the business side of things. You've written a book called Demo and Magic, Marketing Magic. So what are some ways to stay competitive with things changing so fast right now? Home studios, the internet, Voices 1, 2, 3. What do you advise on ways to really stay competitive with marketing?
Well, to begin with, you have to know how things are changing. So you've got to be on top of how the trends are changing and what people are looking for, different ways of doing things. My gosh, when I got started, 12 years ago now, the internet was just not used like it's used now. My first demo was a tape. Remember those cassette tapes?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's only been 12 years. That's really a comparatively short amount of time. Be willing to do the research to know what's new out there, to embrace the new. Facebook and Twitter and all these social things, while some people look at them and say, oh, it's just, it's a way to waste time. No, it's actually an excellent way to market. Get yourself out there. People know who you are. If you are afraid of new technology, this isn't the business for you.
Or just ask a youngster, ask a niece or nephew or a son or daughter, and they'll help you out.
Yeah. I give my iPhone or my iPad to my granddaughter who's 3, and she can make that thing absolutely sing. She's 3. But it's because there is no fear of that technology. It's us older folks that look at it and go, oh, I might mess it up. Now, in her little mind, it's all brand new and all open. So we need to, as adults, be able to embrace some of that. Everything is new. Everything is wonderful. Find out what's going to work for you the best, and then make that your marketing plan. There are, very typical things that you can do with marketing, and that is, you have to decide who it is that you want to market to, which is a biggie.
Tell me what you mean by that.
Well, a lot of people get into voiceover and they'll just say, I'll do everything. Be willing to do everything, absolutely. But when we try to, it's the same old thing, if you try to please everybody, you please no one. If you're trying to market to the entire universe, you're not focused. You're just broadcasting out there. You need to be more targeted in who you want to be hired by. So if you know, for instance, that your forte, what you're really, really good at is medical narration. Let's just take that as an example. So you're not going to be marketing to people who don't do medical narration.
Right.
You really need to decide, okay, I'm really good at this. I know I can do an excellent job for people. So now you need to do the research. That's where we lose people. You see, like I said in the beginning, is that people are not willing to do the work. If you want to be successful in any business, you have to be willing to do the work, to do those internet searches, to call up companies and ask them, do you do your things in-house, or do you hire outside voiceover? You've got to be willing to do that. Find what your target market is. Now, that having been said, it doesn't mean that it's your only target market. What I'm saying is that you only do one at a time. Don't try to market to everybody.
Yeah.
Pick one.
And you're talking about an area that is pretty narrow. Let's say medical narration is a very narrow field, and I think if somebody wants to break into that, they're going to have a little bit easier of a time than somebody who, say, wants to land, a Bud Light campaign, a national TV campaign. So, so the marketing for that is going to be drastically different.
Yes.
what are some of the things that you advise? Well, I mean, obviously, before you get to that level, you're going to need to secure an agent for yourself, probably. So that's part of the marketing plan. How do you market yourself to an agent?
Well, that's I only hesitate. Go ahead, Jim.
Well,
have a comment on that.
Yeah, the whole agent thing, getting an agent to represent you, is really something a lot of people think that that's all they need to do, and their voiceover life is going to be a walk in the park.
Oh, you're just opening the door at that point.
Yeah, really, you really are.
Yeah.
But the important thing to keep in mind is that, several things to keep in mind. One is that the agent actually works for you, not the other way around, but agents will make you think that you are working for them.
Sure.
Because they want to have control over their talent pool, which is understandable. But even more than that, the agent is not really going to be interested in representing you until you are already at a point in your career where you have a fairly solid client base. Because the agent only makes a commission based on the work that you...
That's correct.
You funnel through them. And as a voice actor, we can have multiple agents.
As long as they're not in the same market, yes.
There's usually a market exclusivity thing, which prevents that. But you can have multiple agents around the country. You can have one in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Atlanta, Miami, wherever.
Right, there are a lot of different markets out there.
Lots and lots of different markets. Well, what's been happening in the last couple of years is this little thing called voicebank.net, which is a consolidation of all the major talent agents in the country. And it's a clearinghouse for clients, advertisers, producers, and whoever is booking talent. They can funnel their scripts through voicebank.net, which means all the member talent agencies get the same audition requests. And if you've got an agent in multiple markets, you might be getting the same audition request.
There is some overlap that does happen, sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's the voicebank.net thing. But anyhow, getting back to the process of getting an agent, you don't even want to consider that until you are at a point where you've already got a history of work. Mm-hmm. And you've got skills and expertise. You have your business plan in place and working.
And you have a professionally produced demo.
Right.
Which I'll get to in just a moment. But you're right. Your voiceover career really does. There's so much to do beyond just getting an agent. But unless, say, for example, you're doing something extremely niche oriented, like doing medical narration, or even if you're doing audiobooks, you do need an agent. And if you want to get into promo, if you want to get into animation, if you want to get into commercial, you do have to have that agent. I guess my question then is, and I'll direct this to you, Penny, in trying to get in touch with an agent, first of all, do you recommend sending a CD or MP3 or both? And my second question would be, how much is too much?
Oh, gosh. Let's see. Well, as far as contacting agents, I have to go back and say you don't want to be contacting agents until you've done some steps.
Sure. Well, let's say you've done all of the things that you've recommended.
So if you've got all that, you have your professional demo. It depends on the part of the country that you're in. On the West Coast, this is the procedure for West Coast, at least as I last heard, which can change very quickly, but as I last heard. The procedure here is you would call the agent and you will ask them if they are accepting new talent. If they say yes, then you say, where can I send you my demo? They will tell you. Then you send your demo. I personally suggest calling about a week later and saying, did you receive it? Now, during that call is not the time you say, did you receive it? Did you like it?
Did you like it? Right.
Because
yeah, exactly.
That's not it. You are simply calling to make sure that it's been received. And then you leave it alone. You don't call back.
Yeah, another aspect of that is in that initial call, you need to find out how the agent would like to receive the demo. Mm-hmm. Do they want you to send them a CD? Would they prefer an MP3 file?
So it's on a preference basis when you approach an agent.
More and more asking for MP3s.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, they don't clutter their desks.
Right. Well, and it doesn't. Yeah, they don't have these stacks of CDs. They can just have a file on their on their computer. So, but it really is important that you don't keep calling back saying, have you listened? Have you listened? Have you listened? And this is a phrase to take out of your vocabulary if you're new talent. Never, ever, under any circumstances, say to somebody who you've sent your demo to, well, it only takes a minute.
Oh.
Really don't do that. Being in a producer position myself, when I receive demos, it sounds like a real simple thing. Oh, I got a demo. Let's pop it in and listen to it. But when that demo comes in, I very often am up to my eyeballs in some project that I'm working on. I may only get to listen to demos maybe on my way home in my car.
Sure, you set aside a certain amount of time to do it. Have you actually had students who have said that to people who have said,
yeah. In fact,
yes.
we received an unsolicited.
That's gutsy.
I got a package. Actually, it was about a week ago. We got a package, came in the mail.
Unsolicited.
It cost $1.57 for this person to send the package.
Okay, there's our second mistake.
Inside the package was a slimline case with a CD in it and a letter.
Long letter.
It was a long letter, about 4 paragraphs, a full page. And within the first part of the letter, this individual is extolling their virtues of being this wonderful voice talent. And they're saying, I'm hoping you'll give a listen to this demo. It was generously short, or
it wasn't generously. It was mercifully short. That was it. He said it's mercifully short. Well, and I look at the CD, and the CD has 16 tracks listed.
Wow.
By title: commercial with a name, commercial name, narration name, character name.
Right.
16 tracks.
So this individual obviously did not do his or her homework.
It's not mercifully short.
Not at all, right. And made a number of mistakes along the way.
Yes. Well, not only that, but I look at the return address on the package, and it's one city, and I look at the return address on the letter, and it's a different city. So there was no continuity between return addresses. And the demo, the CD, I never listened to the entire CD, because by the time I got 30 seconds into it, I'm realizing I'm only on track 3. There's no way this I'm going to go through all this.
Well, so really the whole thing here is to be cognizant of the fact that these people really do not have a whole lot of time.
Right.
So getting back to the procedure to do, call them once, make sure it's there, make it a very short call. Thank you, and go. And then let it go. It's like auditions. You put it out there. If you hear back from them, great, got the job. If you don't, you may get a rejection letter, or you may never hear from them at all. And keep in mind that when you send something to an agent this year, they may say, well, we have, enough voices in our talent pool right now that are similar to yours.
Right.
But a year from now, they might not. So it doesn't mean never go back to that because you've been rejected by them once. But that's, like I say, that's on the West Coast. You never send a demo out unsolicited. Always call first.
Now, I would say that's probably no matter what market you're going for. I think generally either an email or a phone call introduction is probably, at the very least, good manners.
Well, I would say probably phone call is better than an email.
And even better than that is, we're business people. We're entrepreneurial business people as voice actors. We need to know how to do our research and our due diligence on our marketing. And one of the first steps in this electronic age is Google the agent, go to their website.
Find out a little about them.
Find out who they are, find out what the kind of people they represent, and look on their contact page and find out if there's a procedure for submitting.
Yes.
That's excellent advice.
Request.
Yeah.
They might very well be.
Most of the major agencies have submission procedures specified on their websites. If you're doing unsolicited demos and you're just blasting them out and sending them out, which is, as Penny says, it's fairly common on the East Coast, is they just send it out, and see what happens. It's a shotgun approach. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But, do the research first.
Well, and you want to be aware of your marketing dollar too, and where it is best spent. And also the amount of time that you spend. So if you are sending out unsolicited emails with your MP3 attachment, please don't do that. I don't know about you, but I don't open up attachments from people I don't know. So you've just wasted your time. If you're sending out fully produced, CDs and a nice packaging and all that things unsolicited, if they don't know who you are, and they aren't looking for talent right now, they're going to throw it in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
So you've wasted your money and you've wasted your time. So again, it goes back to do the research, do the work, find out what you want to do. And if you are looking for a commercial, well, if you're looking for any agent at all, the way that it is now, I don't know of any agents that do animation or promo or any of them that will not want your commercial demo first.
That seems to be the first required demo with any agency. You seem to have to always have a commercial reel, and then even if your sole focus is animation and that's all you want to do, they're still going to want a commercial demo for it.
Do you know why that is?
I think because it shows that you have range.
Yes, exactly.
And speaking of which, and I did want to shift gears and talk about demos, I want to go back to something that you said in the first part of our show, and that was, Penny, you mentioned that you have, say, 10 different personalities or characters that you draw from when you get into an audition situation. Now,
yes.
There are a number of different approaches to putting a demo together. When I first started, it was about a 60-second demo people were looking for, and now I think it's stretched to 90 seconds and in some cases 120 seconds. But I'm wondering, do you try to get a good sampling of all of the different, I'd say, intensities or colors of your personality, of who you are in that demo, or do you try more to create a signature sound for yourself? There seem to be two philosophies when it comes to creating demos. I'm going
to let Jim speak to that because I think he can give you a better overview of it.
Yeah, because I'm more the demo producer around here. Actually, I just, there was a question on one of the LinkedIn forums that I'm a member of, and I just responded on the whole demo question for that. So it's a very timely question that you asked.
Oh, good.
in terms of the demo itself, what we want to do in creating the demo from a producer's standpoint, and this should be also from the point of view of the voice actors, we want to create something that has as much versatility and variety to demonstrate what the skill range is for that particular actor. This is our portfolio. This is our audio business card. This is going to tell prospective clients more. It's not so much as to tell them who we are, it's to tell them, this is what I can do for you. This is my range of attitudes and sounds and styles and moods and whatever that actor's range happens to be. Well, in order to do that, first off, the demo is generally going to be a niche demo. It'll be commercial demo or promo or imaging or whatever the niche happens to be. We don't mix them anymore. 15 years ago, demos could be mixed. They could be 3 minutes long, and you could have a mixture of stuff in it. Today, we're dealing with a short attention span theater generation of talent buyers and producers.
Well, so then let's talk about commercial demos then specifically, because like you said, those are the first ones that agents and others generally want to hear.
Right.
What sort of range do you encourage your students and the people that you make demos for to show? Do you try to get them to show as much range as possible, or do you try to get them to really offer sort of a signature sound?
Well, most of the demos that I produce end up having some kind of a signature sound. There's I have a process that I use when I'm producing a demo, so I can pretty much my demos are pretty much differentiated from others that are out there. But in terms of the voice actor's performance, I'm not so much looking for what their sound might be, although that might be the approach that we take. It really depends upon what their abilities are. If the voice actor is more of what we call that celebrity voice actor, where their performances largely come from variations on who they are and variations in their own personal range, the vocal textures, the dynamics, the tonalities that they can deliver from their voice. And it's not so much an aspect of creating specific characters, then I'm going to take a different approach in producing that demo. If the demo is going to be a range of characters and attitudes and emotions and moods and different kinds of energy levels that are going to be demonstrated, that is going to be a different approach. That's more of the character type of a demo, and it'll have different content. But regardless of which approach we take, the most important thing is that the performer's abilities are what are represented accurately in the demo. And by that I mean, if it takes me 10 or 15 takes to get the talent to the right kind of delivery that I'm looking for, that I think is going to work for marketing in their demo,
that's not in their range.
No, it's not in their abilities. They need to be able to get to the right delivery within about 3 or 4 takes tops. Yeah. Ideally, within the first 2 or 3 takes, we should be extremely close to a polished performance for a particular track in order for it to go into a demo. Because the expectation from the producers is that I can hand you a script and you're going to give me the delivery I want within 2 or 3 takes.
And if somebody struggles with that just in the process of creating the demo, it's not in their arsenal, clearly.
It's exactly. And,
and
they may not even be ready to do the demo.
Right.
We've stopped demo sessions before when we know that they're just plain not ready, and because neither Jim nor I could take money from people for a product that's not going to get them any work.
Well, nobody wants to waste time and nobody wants to waste money. No. And so, yeah, it makes sense that you would try to guide somebody back to perhaps some more training before they actually get behind the mic and cut the demo.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about home studios, James. I'm going to let you continue to dominate the conversation a little bit here because you've done so much with that.
You know what? That's really okay.
You've done so much with home studios, and boy, it's just a big field right now. I'm talking to you from mine. Let's start from the brass tacks. What's the most important thing people need to know about setting up a home studio?
Well, there are actually several important aspects to it. Let's just start with some of the myths of home studios first, and some of the misconceptions and some of the what I would consider improper or poor guidance that's given by a number of places. One of the things when somebody's, and I'm talking only about people who are just getting started in voiceover right now. I'm not talking about a working pro who's already got a client base and is out there. They've been doing voiceover for 5 or 10 years. We're talking about people who are just getting started. One of the myths that is common is that you need to have Pro Tools as your recording software. And the thought is, or the general teaching of that is that Pro Tools is the standard of the recording industry, which is true. But as a voice actor, we are not technically part of the recording industry. We are a service provider who provides voice tracks that are going to go into a production in a studio that is part of the recording industry.
Right. So in other words, we're not going to be trading Pro Tools files back and forth. What generally they're going to want is an MP3, a WAV file, or an AIF file, which can be produced by a number of different pieces of software.
Absolutely. And you do not need Pro Tools to do that.
Right.
And the problem with Pro Tools is first off very expensive. Yeah. Even the light versions is very expensive. The learning curve to understand how to use Pro Tools it's a very long learning curve because there are so much in there, which is useful for a recording studio, but for what we do, it's way overkill. We don't need all the bells and whistles that Pro Tools has, nor do we have the time to devote to learning how to use all that. So we don't need Pro Tools for that. And additionally, as you said, the files that we will be delivering can be created by any number of programs out there that are a whole lot less expensive.
So I'm thinking SoundForge, even in some cases, probably if it comes bundled in with your Mac, you can use GarageBand. I don't know.
GarageBand works, sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, we know a lot of people who use GarageBand, but we're talking again about somebody who's just getting started in voiceover. Okay, they're not at a point where they're able to generate revenue necessarily at this point because they're still learning.
So you don't want to sink a lot of money into something that you're not making money from yet.
Yeah. Why spend a lot of money? You need to spend some money, absolutely, because if you're putting a business together, you need to have some expenses. There are going to be expenses in creating any kind of a business, whether you're doing a Starbucks franchise or your own voiceover home studio. You need to be able to deliver high quality recordings as a voice actor, period. That's the bottom line. But you don't need Pro Tools to do it, and you don't need to have a high-end whisper room or a vocal booth, which are all very good products, but you don't need to go to that expense at this stage in your career. Wait until you've got the revenue coming in before you go to those expenses.
Well, let's talk about microphones a little bit, because I know that there are a number of microphones that are becoming more and more affordable. I know M Audio makes a Sputnik microphone, which has a lot of the same specifications as a Neumann U87. Now, I should just say, and this is something that you should probably be talking about, but I will just say the two microphones that I generally encounter at sessions, and the one that I'm speaking through you from is Sennheiser 416, and the other that you'll see quite often is the Neumann U87, which can run upwards of $3,000. Obviously, you don't want to sink that kind of money in if you don't have any revenue coming in. So what are there some microphones that you recommend to people who are just getting started that are more affordable?
Yep, absolutely. And by the way, I'm also on a 416. So
okay.
But Penny is on using the microphone that we recommend to our students, which is the MXL 990.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. And what company, what manufacturer is that?
It's actually distributed by Marshall Electronics.
Sure.
Which is the guitar people.
They make amps, right?
Yeah, they make amps.
Mm-hmm. I love this microphone.
Well, you sound good on it, Penny.
It's a wonderful mic. And when I first got it, it actually came bundled with an M Audio Mobile Pre, which was the USB interface that I was getting for to interface. And the company I bought it through had it bundled with an MXL 990. So I figured, okay, I'll get the bundle and see what the mic sounds like.
Oh man, we love these.
Let me just stop you for a second before we get too technical, because because I work in this, I know what you're talking about, but I think a lot of people won't. And I think it's very important when you go into your local guitar center or your local music store, you are going to need some sort of preamp in order to get your microphone plugged into your computer.
Right.
Correct.
And I will tell you this, when I first started out, they sold me both an M-Box and a 4-channel mixer, which I didn't need. I didn't need the 4-channel mixer. And so I really try to caution people, like, get the bare minimum, make sure that nobody's trying to take you to the cleaners, for commission.
Well, let's just run down what that bare minimum is.
Yep.
What do you actually need as somebody getting into voiceover? What do you need to create a home studio?
Tell us, Uncle Jimmy.
It's really straightforward. You need to have the following items. And this is, by the way, on our voiceacting.com website. On the left-hand side, there's a menu. The link for products, equipment breaks down all the stuff, and a lot of it can be purchased right through the website there as well. But here's what you need. You need to have a computer. Yep. Whether it's a Mac or a PC, doesn't matter. Mac people are going to profess Mac as being the greatest thing since sliced bread. PC people are going to say, I wouldn't touch a Mac if my life depended on it. Doesn't matter. They both do the same job. It's going to record your voice and create an MP3 file that you can deliver through the internet. So it's a personal preference for the computer. Laptop, desktop, again, doesn't matter. The laptops that are around today are every bit as powerful, if not more so, than a lot of the desktops.
Right.
And we've just converted our whole office into laptops, so we're totally portable now. But you need to have the computer. You need to have a way of getting audio into your computer, which is a USB interface. The M Audio Mobile Pre, Tascam 122, the M-Box. There's a zillion of them out there. There are also a lot of USB mixers now where you would plug your microphone into a mixer, which has a volume control on it. That mixer now goes into the computer through a USB cable.
Right.
So you need some way of getting the microphone audio into your computer. There are also USB microphones, which I don't recommend, and we'll talk about that when we talk more about mics. But suffice to say, we need to have a USB interface to connect the microphone into the computer. Now we need a microphone. The microphone would normally connect via what's called an XLR cable. It's got 3 little pins on it.
Sure, yeah.
Plugs into the back of the microphone. That would plug into the USB interface to get your audio into the computer. You need a microphone stand to hold the microphone. Whether you're sitting down or standing up, you still need to have something to hold the microphone. You need a copy stand of some sort to hold your script so that you don't have to hold it in your hand. Holding copy in your hand blocks your physicality. It impedes your ability to create a compelling energy through your body.
It
That
blocks your chi.
Yeah, it's the physicalization.
to become
part.
Eastern about it, yeah, it blocks your
Yes.
chi. Okay.
So we need the copy stand, a microphone, a cable, a USB interface, and the computer. So that's from the technical side.
That's soup to
really
nuts. Yeah. Okay.
soup to nuts. That's all we need. Now we do need software on the computer, and you mentioned SoundForge. There's Adobe Audition, GarageBand, lots of other programs out there. The one that we suggest for our students when they're getting themselves started is a very nifty little program called Audacity.
Sure. Yeah, Audacity is
free.
It's free and it's very, very easy to use.
Yeah. And basically you click on the record button, it opens a track and it starts to record.
Yeah.
And you hit stop, it stops recording.
It's wonderful.
It's very simple to use. In fact, in a couple of weeks here in San Diego, on December 11th, we have Barry Trussell, who is an expert on Audacity, is going to be here.
To teach a hands-on workshop is going to be great.
Okay. That's the
I did mention I was going to talk about the USB microphone and why we do not recommend a USB mic. There are a couple of reasons why. First off, the USB microphone connects to the computer. It has a built-in USB interface, so that digital converter is inside the microphone, which means there are probably some compromises that have been taken in order to keep the price down on that mic. So that's the first thing. You're limited by the length of the USB cable because you, by default, have to be close to the computer because I think most USB cables are around 6 to 10 feet long. So that's your limit. Also, you have no control over your monitoring because you have to monitor through your computer, which means you may have latency or delay from the time you speak and when you hear it back in your ears if you're on headphones. So there's limited control of your recording volume. It has to be done in software. You don't have an external volume control. So there are a number of reasons why I do not recommend the USB mics. I'd much prefer having a regular analog microphone like the MXL 990 going into a USB interface where I've got a volume control and a headphone volume. The C-Entrance Mic Port Pro is another extremely good USB interface, which I like that. That's my favorite USB interface. It's a small little adapter. Mm-hmm. It has both a headphone monitor and volume control for record levels, so it's wonderful.
And everything can be set up for around $300.
Under $300, you can get everything.
Yeah.
The only other thing that is not factored into that is the acoustics of the recording environment of the room that you are in. And that's a critical factor in the quality of the recordings.
But that's also...
It's also a conversation all its own. I mean, that's a whole...
It is, and there are a number of different ways of skinning that cat. I for one, can say if you go to a mattress store and buy some egg crate foam, that works very, very well as a sound absorber, provided you have a small room, you know. Yeah,
the key in small rooms is it's not so much absorbing the sound. What we want to eliminate is the reflected hard surfaces.
That's right. That's right.
So, even taking a quilt, in fact, this is one of the things that's a real quick and dirty way of doing it. Go to a Staples or an Office Depot or Office Max, buy some of the jumbo size bulldog clips.
Okay, sure. I know what you're talking about.
Real the big heavy duty spring clips. Okay. Go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy a couple of cargo packing blankets.
Yeah.
They're like $15, I think. So you buy 2 or 3 of those. Go into the room that you're going to be recording in, take a hammer and a couple of nails, and up near the top of the wall, up near the ceiling, put a nail into the wall. Hammer it in at an angle so that it's not going to really damage the wall or fall out. Or you could use picture hanger hooks and that sort of thing too. Now you take the bulldog clips, clip them to the cargo blankets, and just hang the clip on those nails. And guess what? You have now created baffles along your wall. You've created absorbent surfaces that are going to eliminate the reflections coming off of those walls. And it's cost you about maybe $50, $75.
All right, so now we're up to $350. You get your home studio all set, ready to go.
I mean, you can create a relatively acoustically dead room by a relatively inexpensive process. And because that's what we want to do is we don't want to have those reflections. The best example of reflected sound, if you're not familiar, for any of the listeners who aren't familiar with what what I mean by reflected sounds. Go into a bathroom and clap your hands. You'll hear the echo. Well, that's reflected sounds, and you'll hear that in any room in your house. And when you can kill those reflections, that's the kind of sound we want. Walk into a closet, and you won't hear the reflections because it's being absorbed by all the clothes.
Right. So,
by the way, in a walk-in closet, if you've got a big walk-in closet, you've probably got a voiceover booth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's always a good space for that, provided you can run some lines in there.
Lots of ways of dealing with the acoustics, on the cheap.
Honestly, actually, did you mention to him your home studio?
Oh, the ebook? Oh, no. No, I didn't. Thank you.
Why don't you mention that? Because it might be really it might be really helpful to some of the listeners.
Absolutely. Well, and as I've said at the first part of the show, we will provide links to all of the services and books and everything that you offer on the website, because you do offer an awful lot, and I know that you have a guide to home studios. And Penny, as I've said, you've written the Demo on Marketing Magic, and then of course, James, you've written kind of the handbook, the Art of Voice Acting. So there's a ton of stuff to share with people, and we'll be sure to do that. Let me just close by asking both of you, because both of you obviously between the two of you have such an incredible breadth of knowledge, and you've been so generous in sharing all of that. I want to ask each of you, and I'll start with you, Penny, what keeps you interested in the field of voiceover?
Oh, mostly because it's something new every single day. For me, I'm so blessed because it's not only voicing projects that come in, it's auditioning, it's writing, it's teaching, it's learning, it's editing, it's all those things that I get to do in a day. It's something different every single day. And one of the other things that keeps me coming back every morning is the ability to take what I have learned and share that with others and have them feel the same joy that I feel.
Right.
So every day, it's just another wonderful day. It truly is.
And
believe me, it's not at all like working for attorneys.
Well, of course not. No, and that's why you jump ship on that, right?
This is more fun.
Yeah. Well, you absolutely get to express your creative side, which is which
every day,
if you're a creative person and you're stuck in a job you don't like, it can really be deadly.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It sure can.
And how about you, James? What keeps you continually interested in the world of voiceover?
What she said.
Okay. Well, we can.
It's pretty much the same thing.
Sure.
It's just, I come from a creative and production background, so I love the process of putting things together and finding that way of effectively telling the story, whether it's through the voiceover delivery or through the production side, and especially the teaching, because I love watching our students when we're in a workshop and we're directing them through something, and all of a sudden it's like the light bulbs start going off, and
their eyes sparkle, and it's amazing,
and they get it,
right.
And it's just that kind of a fulfillment is just